Hey guys, it's Christy with Christy's Custom Creations, and today I want to change things up just a little bit and just put out this little short video on how I make my color samples to show my customers of the glitters that I offer. And all of the glitters shown in this video today are KCC Glitters, and which is my new glitter company. And right here I just have a small coin holder case, and it came with I think like 100 coin holders, and I have put KCC glitter into all of these little coin holders. They're just little 1-inch coin holders, and I will have this box that includes the coin holders listed down in the description box below so that it's easier for you to find it. I bought it on Amazon. It was pretty inexpensive, I think like $10 or something like that. So I'm going to use these 3 glitters here. This one is called Into the Deep. It is a holographic darker blue. This is Unicorn Dreams. This is one of the prettiest whites I have ever seen, and it is my favorite glitter. And then here we have Ruby Slipper. It is a holographic red glitter. So these are my 3 newest colors, and so I wanted to go ahead and add them to my collection here. So I have a little bit of Tumblerpoxy epoxy mixed up. I only mixed up probably about 10 milliliters of Tumblerpoxy, and you just pop these open. They're 2 parts, and the smaller part that goes on the inside is the part that I put the glitter on, because the other part is gonna clip down over and cover it up to basically encase the whole thing, which you'll see later in the video. So I'm just going to open them up and set the top side of the coin holders off to the side. And then here I am going to go ahead and set these on a piece of paper so that you can see a little bit clearer. My mat here is a little bit of a mess. My silicone mat it's pretty glittery. So I'm just going to take a tiny bit of Tumblerpoxy epoxy that like I said, I've mixed up. And I'm going to take my popsicle stick and just smooth it down all around the inside. You want to be careful not to get it over the little lip, because I personally like to put the lid over it and just encase the whole thing once I'm over and done with it. So I just put just enough on there to basically hold the glitter. It's kind of like doing the epoxy method, but into the coin holders here. And like I said, you'll notice that I'm only putting a very thin layer of epoxy on here, just thin enough so that it will self-level out in the coin holder, because you want it to have good coverage enough to basically grab the glitter, but you don't want to drown it in it either. So it's just a nice light coat of epoxy, enough to very lightly cover the inside here to attach the glitter to it. Okay, now that I have epoxy in all 3 coin holders, I'm going to take my little squirt bottle, and it has 91% alcohol in it. And I just very, very lightly spritzed it. And that alcohol actually helps the epoxy to lay super smooth, and also kills any little micro bubbles in there. Tumblerpoxy doesn't get a whole lot of micro bubbles, even though I'm a pretty aggressive stirrer. I still don't have really any problems with micro bubbles, but I just wanted to give it a quick spritz just to make sure I didn't have any in there. So I'm going to take my coin holder that's got the epoxy in it, and I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of my glitter into it. And then if you see, I'm tapping the bottom of the coin holder with my finger, which just kind of helps that glitter move around a little bit. And I needed to put just a little bit more in there. So I just tap it again with my finger so that it moves around. And I don't need too much glitter. So like if I have a little bit too much glitter that the epoxy doesn't grab, I just dump it right back into the container, because I use so little epoxy. Basically, I'm just adding the epoxy in here via the epoxy method, like I mentioned earlier. So as you see, it's in there, it's stuck, and so I'm basically gonna just set this this one here off to the side so that it can dry. And as you saw, I dumped a little bit of excess glitter right back in there. So I'm gonna set it off to the side, and then I'm gonna move on to the next color. So next I'm gonna go in with the dark blue here, the Into the Deep. It is a holographic chunky mix, and I am going to do the exact same thing that I just did. I'm gonna sprinkle it in there. And then I will take my finger and tap the bottom of it with my fingernail just to help move that chunky glitter around just a little bit to get good coverage over that whole thing. And one of the reasons I wanted to make these was because sometimes glitter looks different under epoxy than it does in a bottle. So by doing this, I'm able to show my customers, hey, this is what this glitter looks like under epoxy. And last, I'm going to move on to Ruby Slippers here, which is also a chunky red holographic mix. And I'm gonna do the exact same thing you just watched me do 2 other times. I'm just gonna sprinkle some in there and tap it around. One thing I found that you kind of need to watch with the chunkies is you don't want it poking up too much. So I had a nice layer on there, so I just kind of made sure, and I tapped it with my finger slightly, just to make sure that I didn't have anything sticking up that would prevent the lid from going over it in the future. So I had a little bit of excess on there, so I just dumped it back into the container. And there you have it, that's done. So I'm gonna set these off to the side to let them completely dry. And I think I let them dry for about 10 hours or so. I just let them dry overnight. So once they are completely dry, we're gonna go back in with more epoxy. And look how pretty those are. They're really pretty without epoxy over them, but under epoxy, they are even prettier. So here I have about 20 milliliters of Tumblerpoxy epoxy mixed up, and you do not need 20 milliliters of epoxy for this. I was putting epoxy on another cup, so I figured I would just go ahead and knock out the top layer of epoxy on these glitters. So I scooped a little bit of epoxy out with my popsicle stick here and put it down over the glitter. Now these are completely dry. They dried overnight, and so they're completely dry. So just as you see, I'm just scooping a little bit of epoxy out with my popsicle stick, and then I'm pushing the epoxy around so that it completely covers the glitter. And you want to be careful not to push epoxy over the edges of the coin holder, because I prefer to put the top back over the coin holder. So I'm very careful to push just up to the edge, but not push it over the edge. And I also am careful not to overfill these, because if you overfill them, the top isn't going to go back on correctly. But these are, I think I mentioned this before, I can't remember. These are my 3 newest colors. So I have all my other colors already, samples made for them already. And so I needed to go ahead and make them for my 3 newest colors. And keep an eye out, because sometime next week, I think it's going to be probably late next week, we've got 3 color shifting colors that are going to be coming out, and a new color shifting mica powder. So keep an eye out for that. And it is KCCGlitter.com. And like I said, all of the glitters that you see in the coin holders that I showcased at the beginning of the video, and then I'll show them again here at the end of the video, they are all glitter from KCC Glitter, and they are so pretty, y'all. I just walk past my glitter daily and stare at it. I love glitter. So I'm just doing the same thing here, putting the last one, or epoxy on the last one, and coating it really good. And as you can see, I've got it good and coated, but not overfilled. So once I am done with that, I'm going to take my spray bottle again, and I'm just going to give it a nice little spritz with 91% alcohol, and that's just going to kill any little microbubbles. You don't want to take a blowtorch to it, because it's sitting in a plastic case. You don't want to melt your plastic case. So look how pretty these are under epoxy. They're absolutely beautiful. So basically they're ready to go. I let them completely dry for about 10 hours or so. so that they were good and dry, and then I went ahead and just popped the lid onto them. Look at that Unicorn Dreams. Unicorn Dreams is so pretty. So these are the little lids, and they just pop right back down onto them, just like you would encase a coin into them, and it just pops on, and your sample is ready to go. And now that they are all done, it is time to add them to the rest of my KCC glitter collection here. And as you can see, there's plenty in here. I think like I said at the beginning, I think there's like 100 coin holders in here, and look how pretty these glitters are, y'all. Be sure to check them out on the website. And if you're watching this video on 4th of July weekend, we do have a sale going on right now. It's the coupon code is FREEDOM for 15% off of your order, but that is good for this weekend only, 4th of July weekend only. I have a all the time discount code for my KCC Diamonds, my Patreon members. If you are interested in that, check out my Patreon group. The link is below. Everything I used in the video will be linked below also. And a huge, huge thank you to my awesome Patreon members. Y'all rock, and y'all mean the world to me. If you like this video, please be sure to hit the like button and also subscribe to see more videos like it. I hope y'all have a wonderful holiday weekend. Be safe and take care. Bye.